Hello. Hello. Welcome back to the Speaking of Tea podcast. You are with your host, Rochelle, and tonight I'm just doing a quick little recording by the candlelight with burning sage in front of me. I'm hoping not to smoke myself out, but just to be embraced by the scent of the sage. It's such a good reset. Do you ever burn sage in your house? I have a few different bundles around that one's in my car, one's here in my room. And I think there might be one by the door. Maybe part of one by the door. I don't know. Oh, but you know, it looks really beautiful right now. I have a couple lights on in the room, I suppose, but they're a little bit dim. And I have the candle here, and then the sage is burning in front of it. Oh, and just the stroking whispers of moving smoke that are affected by my breathing. Because it's going upwards, but I can see where it twirls because the airflow from my breath is affecting it, and it's going swirling about in some kind of a smoky little tornado. It's really cool looking. And it's in front of my singing bowl and my tea bell. So they're these little brass instruments, and just all the colors are just beautiful. I love the color scheme that is brass instruments and wood and clay teapots, flames. Oh, it's just perfect for me. That's what I adore. I do love colors. I have lots of color in my life, but I also really love just, earthy. These are all earth. Everything that I just described here is earth. Well, except for the fire, obviously. But it still, takes on a bit of an earthy color. I mean, where do rocks come from? Lava comes from the earth, from volcanoes. Am I onto something? Maybe it's different color. Still, it's different color, isn't it? Magma is pretty red. Yeah. Anyways, I just want to hop on the microphone for a little while, and I'm probably going to record more of this tomorrow. And I'm going to have a pot of tea going. A pot of tea. Yeah, that'll be a nice return. Return to the microphone, return to love, return to joy. Oh, I love tea. Okay. I promise myself that this whole section is going to get cut tomorrow. It's been a busy couple of weeks. I've been in school, which is something I have really been manifesting. Yeah. After being in such a productive mode of beginning the podcast, of writing music, and I don't know, what else have I done? I don't really stop in my creativity. But now I have found myself being very much in a studying mode, which is about building up my business, for building a poetry community online, and for designing coursework, a course for poetry. And what that's going to be all about, well, I probably have mentioned it in the previous podcast, but who's keeping track? I can just, because each time I'm studying, I come up with more new ideas, and it's also fun and inspiring. So that's kind of the joy of this whole studying journey, because everything that I learn, or every prompt that I get, I am actually producing something new, which is awesome. And it's definitely something I'm going to be bringing into the poetry community itself. If you're a member, you will be amongst the chaos poets. How does that sound? Do you like the sound of that? Chaos poets, because, well, the name comes from my first poetry book, which is Chaos of Tao. And chaos is, can just be the chaotic things of disorder in the world, but also chaos means source. It means emptiness. It means void. It means the beginning of everything, where it came from, like the Big Bang, before the Big Bang, obviously. Anyway, so you could be a chaos poet because you're waiting for the Big Bang of your poetry inspirations in the world, or chaos because everything is utterly out of control and you're melting down, and there's nothing you can possibly do other than write poetry. And or maybe because we're just going to end up being a whole bunch of chaotic poets all together in this happy little community. Happy, gay, transformative, sad. We can be sad together. That's going to be a fun part of this. Well, fun. That will be a whole element of this adventure, is that we can be sad together. You know, we can be vulnerable, we can be crying, or you don't have to video yourself crying or anything, but I will be putting up different posts about, you know, what brings you joy, you know, write about that. But come on, how many great poems are there about being joyful? Okay, tons. All right, maybe that's not the point. I'm gonna go. I'll get back to this tomorrow. Okay, bye. I feel like I've been in like several different moods upon approaching doing this recording today. Like I've come back into this room several different times, from having a few different missions that were taking me in and out of the room before doing this recording. The last one being that I pretty much turned on the record button and then the Zoom recorder said goodbye and it turned itself off, low battery. Okay. So I got new batteries, I put them in there, I turned on the recorder, and again, it's still at the lowest bar. I'm likely to get cut off again, which is like, okay, I can come back to this because clearly my different moods from coming out of the room, we're going to have maybe a mixed episode, but it's going to be fun anyways. So yes, hello. I guess I probably inserted, I like the beginning of this episode because I inserted what I was starting to record a few days ago, and it was about tuning in to the smell of the sage and the swirling of the smoke. It was very beautiful and poetic moment for me. But then I turned it off because I actually had a friend coming over, and here I was recording, and they knocked at the door. Oh, right. Pay attention to the plans you've already made. Oh, that's okay. So here I am, round 2, and there's likely going to be a round 3 once I gather another set of batteries. I mean, I guess it would be nice to have a little device that measures the power of each battery, how much is in it, because I'm sure not all 4 are going. Anyway, that's my own conversation. Let's get into this. All right, today I'm drinking some Keemun tea. It's a Chinese black tea, and I give credit for this one to my old boss from the tea lounge in London, Ontario, where I learned everything. Michelle Pierce Hamilton. Hello. I love you. She taught me everything about how to love tea and everything. Well, everything that I could take in about a year. And then I went on to build my own Mecca tea and tea practice and everything when I moved out west. Because I was back in London, Ontario, and my heart really needed to start traveling. So then I moved to Vancouver Island, and I kind of never left. I mean, circumstances made it so that I couldn't quite leave. Oh, I mean, you're never stuck anywhere, but starting to love this place, and then the pandemic hit, and then I'm like, well, why would I go anywhere else on this planet anyways? Like, this is where I need to be. Anyway, she loved Keemun. When, you know, she would be in and out of the shop, and when she would come in, she said, Rochelle, please make me, how did it go? Please make me a traditional of Keemun and a shot of ceremonial matcha. This was my order, like, all the time. This was her thing. And then the one day, I know I sound like a broken record, but can you please make me a pot of Keemun and a shot of ceremonial matcha? I'm like, yes, I got. You don't even have to tell me anymore. I mean, with the 150 teas that you actually have in the store, I mean, I'm surprised that this is like what you want every day. But I mean, when you're busy, you have something you love, you just keep it consistent. And so, I mean, I guess that's how we get people rebuying the same tea, because they fall in love with the tea. me, I just absolutely love exploring. So I have many different kinds that I am, infusing into my being every day. Well, yeah, I have a quantity of a certain amount, so then I drink that one more for a while, and if it becomes a favorite, then I keep making sure it's on my shelf once the bag or whatever becomes empty. And yeah, but I mean I love exploring different teas. I mean, I don't know if I've bought the same pour cake twice because well, they're big. Like these things are designed like regularly to be 357 grams. That is a lot to go through. That takes time. I still have some tea that I bought in like 2021 or 2022. Yeah, probably 2021 of that size. And I'm still working through them in the midst of having tons of different kinds on me. But anyways, why did she love this black tea? Because it's so cozy. So I personally brought it into my mecha tea company because she loves it and it's cozy, and it's just one of those things, like, yeah. It's, yeah, you just have to have it on your shelf. It's just like having lapsang souchong, the smoky black tea. You just have to have it always, like at least the smallest amount. Like you just can't in your life be without lapsang souchong. Okay, a lot of people are going along their lives without it, and yeah, I mean, it's not for everyone, I suppose. So we just like have to have it. I recently actually decided to use it in making a smoky vegan cheese. So it's like a cashew based cheese. Um, you soak the nuts first so they expand and then they get soft and then you can blend them up and then that's how you're making your cheese. But I really want to make like a smoked gouda style or something. So there's recipes to have liquid smoke. But what I ended up doing actually was I steeped the cashews in lapsang. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's cool. Like like okay, so one, yeah, delicious. You get the smoky flavor in the cheese. It's like something special. So it's like I just used tea. Beautiful. But the other cool thing about it was what the cashews looked like. Because it was like if you've ever think about like painting an egg for Easter. You get your egg coloring kits with your kids, whatever. So, you know how when you soak it and then the dye goes through the eggshell and then you actually when you crack it open and then you get like the pink egg. Or if the if the eggshell is a little bit actually cracked while you're painting it, boiled egg, obviously. I don't know if you've ever done it, it's boiled egg, whatever. But so if the egg is already cracked and then you dye it and stuff, and then some of that actually gets directly onto the egg, and then you kind of see like the cool like crackle colors of it like coming in, like that is what the cashews look like. They like had like veins of the black tea, sort of brown, whatever, going across each of the cashews. So that's just a little fun fact of it. So anyway, that's your tip. You're welcome. Have fun making your smoky vegan cheese. All right, I'm gonna drink this because I steeped it and I've been talking. Seems to be a problem each time I do this. It is so cozy. Oh, I love you, tea. I hope anybody listening to this and consistently listens gets the feeling that when I slow down to sip some tea, that they are drawn to do the same and just join with me in that moment. And if you didn't, you can pause, rewind, and then join me in sipping and enjoying your tea in a lovely moment. All right, it is like earlier in the cast than my usual coming to do an oracle reading, but I feel like doing one right now. And this one is a card that is the Postcards from Spirit deck. I've read from it before, so if you've heard this podcast, you would have heard it in previous episodes. Which ones? I can't remember. You just have to listen to them. No, what was cool was earlier I popped on Facebook and then I saw an event. It wasn't like, didn't seem to be prior advertised very much, but this event in town here in Port Alberni that was called the Death Cafe. I'm like, what? And so it was about like having tea and coffee and stuff, but it's a safe space to talk about death. It's like, it's not like a grieving circle, but like just a safe space to just talk about death, anything death related, because we don't always have that in the conversation. I think I've brought that up before too. So I mean, I saw that, I'm like, oh, what? I missed it. That's just, I mean, that just really speaks to my like little emo gothic heart too. I'm like, oh, yay, Death Cafe. Okay. It's not that thrilling. Calm down, Rochelle. Oh no, that's me. Anyways, I am going to pull a card now from this deck and just see what Spirit has to say to me, to us, anybody who is ever going to listen to this episode, this recording. All right. Dearest you, we need you to know that you can change things miraculously for you and everyone and make things right. It's never too late. Forgiveness is about releasing yourself from the burden of an old story, one in which you are a victim of someone else's actions or your own. You don't need to carry this around. You can set yourself free. Even advocating for good because of this experience requires your forgiveness to be effective. Forgiveness is never about condoning things that were done. It's about letting yourself off the hook from carrying the burden. Resentment and hurt are like viruses that spread to others, and that is the opposite of what you really desire, right? Imagine what your life would be like without the burdens that you carry when you do not forgive. You can do it. Everyone over here believes in you and adores you. I recommend rewinding and listening to that one a couple of times through, because that is a very beautifully written verse postcard about forgiveness. Wow. Okay. It can be very hard to forgive people, right? Like, and like it said, like you don't have to condone, you don't have to say it's okay, what you did is okay, or didn't hurt me. It's just finding a place in your heart where you can hold space and let go of the burden. Like it said, like you're just feeling, you're carrying this, you're feeling it, and it affects everything around you. It affects your sense of flow. It brings you back into that memory. Like it's traumatic. Like to have something that you're carrying so heavy that you can't forgive, like you can't find that space in your heart. I would relate that to the feeling of PTSD, in that you're being brought back to that negative place all the time when you think about the circumstance. If you can find that level of forgiveness in your heart, and be able to move on, it doesn't mean you have to welcome, say, this person back into your life, but you can be free of it. There's also a whole level of self-forgiveness. Are there things in your life that you don't even forgive yourself for? That's tough, right? Like you blame yourself for something that happened or that you did. Yeah, we do things. We're human. We make mistakes. We can do our best to resolve an issue, but we can't hate ourselves. Why would we sit around and hate ourselves? I mean, that's rough. Like, how can you can't live like that. You just can't live like that. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Beautiful. Whew. I mean, even though that was beautiful, that was some weight. And I think I am going to follow up with pulling a card from the Rose Oracle deck. Oh, you know what though? Before I actually do that, I'm going to read a poem from Emptiness of the Way because. All right. Cobweb of Truth. How many times do I have to die for the truth to reveal itself? In the haunted house of the world I write, how the spider spins, it is surely a work of art. A spider has woven a web around my heart, tickled my pinky finger. The spider shows me the way to building the flower of life, connecting the dots, seeing a project to its completion, to the interconnectedness of my companions, wispy strings gluing it all together. I am the spider of mastery, weaving my web to perfection. Every past web gets torn apart, frayed, weathered, but this one I shall complete. This one will last. 8 legs of infinity. A fly caught in the web reminds us, being aware of death is a virtue. Release what was tainted in this twisted world of deceit. Find gratitude. I got so excited just reading that one because wow, okay, let me unpack why that is really speaking to my heart right now. Ooh, okay. So at the time that I wrote this poem, it was referring to me building up my tea house, the tea house that I was going to be opening up within, I don't know, within months, or did I just, I don't know. It was within this time period. It would have been September 2022. The tea house was opening. This was like the big plan, the big project. I've been working towards it for years, technically, and months. And so finally it was ready to go, and just the idea of seeing a project to its completion, the interconnectedness of my companions, everything that has, brought me into the place that that I felt strong enough and fulfilled and ready to do it. And then I said, this one shall last. This one I shall complete. This one will last. Any kind of half-started project or things that I wanted to do in my life, it felt like this was the one. This is the big one, Well, okay, so I mean the tea house, that building, whatever, that project didn't actually last, but hey, I did it, and it was the dream, and it was beautiful. And that's, that's okay. I'm in whatever. So now my own home currently is the tea house. Okay. Anyway, what got me so excited was actually because now I am building up this poetry community online, and I've been so excited, doing a lot of planning and putting it in together. So what so it's going to be a paid membership where we are part of this. Well, we'll be part of the Facebook group. I might pull it into a different platform. We'll see. I'm a little bit uncertain about what rules Facebook actually allows for, things that seem obvious, and it doesn't actually offer that kind of. Anyways, I don't know. It's strange, but we'll see. What I did the other day was I created a Facebook group called the Chaos Poets, and that's in reference to my first poetry book, The Chaos of Tao. I, at least it's a trial name, but people are liking it so far. So it's an online community, a group that people can receive writing support and share their writing. We can offer editing to each other. We can, share space, encourage, everything. So I'm going to be on there doing live streams, and it's going to be fun and engaging. And it's going to be, it's going to be awesome. Well, basically I made the group, and so far a private group because I wasn't quite ready to launch yet. Facebook went ahead and invited people for me. I'm like, oh, okay. So I looked back a couple days later. There's like 32 people in the group. Oh, what? I wasn't planning for that. Huh? How did that? I didn't do this. Anyways, I'm excited. I'm still excited and well, not overwhelmed, but blessed, feeling blessed that all these people, they saw it, they're like, that's cool, and they wanted to join. They want to be part of this group and what I'm doing. And like, it was just so exciting and like almost tears in my eyes even right now just to, I mean, it's only a day later, but just to, yeah, the feeling of like what I'm creating is attracting people. It is working. So I'm so excited. My plan is next week also to be doing a live poetry show. It'll be like a love poetry show. It's going to be online, over Zoom. Tickets are going to be $33. So please come and join if you feel called to. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be on February 13th. So the day before Valentine's Day, just to gear you up. And it's not just going to be like love poetry, love poems I've written to people. And to be honest, there's not many of those, but there's a lot to do with a greater sense of love in the universe, like a more expansive love, everything that connects us in consciousness, love that connects you into your own heart, self-love, and all these different elements of love of nature, love of plants, love of, again, consciousness and experience. There's just a greater vision of love that connects us all, even in darker areas of our lives, and the love that carries you out of a dark void. So that's the kind of thing you can expect from the show. So coming back to this poem, the seeing a project to its completion, to the interconnectedness of my companions, wispy strings gluing it all together. The idea of the wispy strings is like, I'm putting in different bits of effort and putting out little bits of magic that is slowly catching people's attention, and I'm putting it out with such a high love vibration, and people are responding. People are coming in. So I'm so excited to build up this community, and it is going to be a paid membership because it's going to be a lot of value to being there. And if you're paying for it, you're going to pay more attention. You're going to be more drawn to be involved in everything. And personally, I want to build a business out of this. I want to make my living out of poetry and the arts and everything. And what I'm also going to be doing too is offering one-on-one coaching, a program to help you with developing your writing practice or helping with editing. It's going to go several different ways. And we're also going to bring in meditation and mindfulness and connecting into your heart. That's going to be this deep practice that you're, to really bring you into the mindset and allow yourself to let go any resistances that you're holding, and to express freely any emotion. Like, you can feel joyful, you can feel pain, poetry is everything. It's every emotion that you can't just speak with regular words. So what I want to offer is that free space and just allowing yourself to decompress on me, and then we'll transform it into something else, right? Like that. Can you imagine that? Wouldn't that be great? I'm excited. I'm already excited for you if you're listening and you want to have that into your life. Like, woo! Just every step of growing this thing, and it feels so right. Everything feels right. The moment I saw 32 people in my group, I'm like ecstatic. Like, how amazing is it going to be? It's so amazing. Sorry. I'm encouraging myself. So feel what you feel about it. Whatever. Ah. Oh, and back to the conversation of death too. The 8 legs of infinity, a fly caught in the web, reminds us being aware of death is a virtue. I have a spirit guide with me who was a friend who died, and it's been a struggle, but I've learned so much about death and love and forgiveness and self-love and moving on, so many different things. And eventually I think I've written down quite a bit, so I mean, eventually once I give myself the time to really digest and put it all together, maybe it becomes a little book about how we can be dealing with death and have a dark sense of humor about it, because come on. So anyway, the line being aware of death is a virtue, that was something that he told me in well, call it mediumship. So when I was communicating with Jesse, that is something that he said, being aware of death is a virtue. Think about that. A virtue? Wow. We shouldn't be running from death. We shouldn't be running from this conversation. It's something, it's always around us. People die around us. People are maybe dying, or we are always making decisions to save ourselves from death. We don't run into the middle of the street. We don't jump into freezing water. Some people do, and I personally want to do that more often. I just don't bring myself out to do it. I love the polar swims, and it's cleansing to the body, and it's freeing in a way. Call me crazy. That's fine. I'm not crazy enough because I'm not really doing it. I'm not putting it into practice yet. But still, even doing that, right? Like you touch freezing water, you're like, I'm going to die. Okay. So that's still a moment of talking about death. Oh, I'm afraid. Like, most people are afraid to die, and that is valid. Like, I mean, you're better off being afraid to die than willing to die, aren't you? This is just how I ramble. So anyways, it's really cool that I flipped open to this poem. Like I literally just opened up the book and flipped somewhere, and then I opened up to this poem, and that was like a perfect follow-up to that Postcards from Spirit. Well, the fact of talking about death and it comes back, and just woo-hoo, synchronicity, it does its thing. Like it's so powerful. The law of reception also, that's another thing that I've been learning about. Okay, so as a quick halt and retuning here, I'm going to come into the Rose Oracle deck. Rebecca Campbell's Rose Oracle deck. Very beautiful spirit. I've been listening to one of her songs on repeat recently off of Spotify. It's called Rise, Sister, Rise. Rise, sister, rise. Rise, sister, rise. Rise for you. Rise for me. When you rise first, you rise for she. So beautiful. Okay. Sing that while I was shuffling the cards. So the card that has to do, hey, with this conversation and anything that is needing to become, that we need to become aware of in this moment. Let's see what the card has to reveal. The Thorn. Ooh, protection, boundaries, clear communication. Just right off the bat, that resonates with me, having running the group, and it needs to, I mean, I really do need it to be a paid space so that everybody gets the most out of it, and there's the most respect across people in the environment. My own boundaries to Facebook for inviting people that they didn't, actually try to do that. Trying to figure out the group rules and how to manage those things. But also a couple people I didn't actually want in there suddenly were in there, and I had to unfortunately remove, but that's okay. Not a couple, just one, but point being, but clear communication is something I can learn about. Just state it, but everybody, I need to be more clear with the boundaries. Anyways, okay. The rose is the queen of all flowers. Her soft and often fragrant bloom takes her breath away from near and far. A bridge between heaven and earth, she has the capacity to act as a portal to our true selves and call our soul more fully into our body. She leaves us in awe, allowing us to experience heaven on earth for a very precious moment. But the rose is not all gentle and soft. In fact, most roses are armored with spiky thorns and prickles of various shapes and sizes. These sharp protectors act like knights defending their queen, clearly setting the necessary boundary and conditions for her to do what she was born to do. We too are like the rose. So often we don't get taught how important clear communication and loving boundaries are to our relationships. We're not clear on our needs. When we don't communicate them, when we don't take responsibility for them, it's impossible for others to give us what we need. This often results in a breakdown in the relationship. Communicating our needs and establishing our boundaries allows not just us to feel safe, but those we are in a relationship with to feel safe too. This card delivers a message of the importance of clear communication, boundaries, and taking responsibility for our needs. To be clear with others, we must first be clear with ourselves, and then communicate this to our loved ones in the world. The soul inquiry. What loving boundaries are you being called to establish? How are you being called to communicate clearly to those you're in a relationship with? Yes. That's beautiful. I don't know if I need to really go through and unpack that one. I mean, yeah. You're probably wondering who or what entered the group, but I don't really need to talk about that really. As long as everything turns out fine, then it turns out fine. That's where I'm going to leave that. Wow. How are you feeling? I know you're not really here to answer that, so I'm feeling relaxed. I'm feeling like the cards are in poetry reading. It's all addressing certain things, so that needed to come up and be addressed. So I hope it resonates with you also. And whenever you end up hearing this, yeah. So to come back to that postcard from Spirit, that was about forgiveness, and then the Rose Oracle was about communication and boundaries. And then those go hand in hand, because when you're coming to the conversation of forgiveness, right? Like you can be setting a boundary for yourself. Like, I need to release this weight from my body and mind and spirit. However, I need to do this in an effective way that is creating the space of healing, but I'm not denying my own boundaries and my own needs. And if you can find that perfect balance to release the weight, find that love and forgiveness, and also establish the boundaries that are going to keep you safe and continue making you safe. Yes, risk is good in life, and yes, pushing yourself is wonderful for growth, and at least even just to find that forgiveness and balance is going to push you towards growth, because that is actually something that you're facing that's uncomfortable. But once you can do that effectively, then you can move forward. Yeah, I think that was stated clearly enough. So, all right, I'm gonna. I'm so squealy. Sorry if you don't like it. Don't listen. I'm gonna drink some tea. as I breathe out these ornaments that are hanging on this twisted willow branch. They're just swinging in front of me. Just sending some air their way. This is particularly dangerous. I'm sipping tea over top the microphone. Do not spill. Don't disturb the electronics. Now that I say that, I'm just going to pull back and not go over the microphone. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I promise that one of these days I'm actually going to be recording with me in video in the tea tray, and you're going to see the whole scope of the experience, and it's going to be more, I don't know, it'll be more visually inviting and more understandable what I'm doing in a moment too. Obviously, when I'm just sitting here sipping tea on the microphone, well, you can imagine, but you probably just can't imagine the nice teaware I have in front of me. This is a really cool tea tray that has it's totally made of clay, and it has a bunch of holes in it. So it's like a big, clay plate, and then there's holes, and then the water goes into it, and then there's this hole on the side of it that can pour out all the water it's collected. But it's great for doing your pre-steeps and everything, and pouring out the water, and then if the steep's gone wrong, you can pour it in there, or spillage, it's just catching it all, which is super fun. Any gong fu cha lover pretty much needs this in their domain. Otherwise, the other fun thing is to go out into nature and find find a log or some stones or whatever. So when you're outside, you just get a natural tea tray, and then the earth is going to soak up anything, which is, yeah, that's a fun thing to do. It's a whole quest when I'm out somewhere, and then I gather up my supplies and go grab a log or some, yeah. Anyways, it's pretty fun. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about? I don't know. I'm kind of coming down to low battery again, so I might be letting this go pretty soon. We're still in the season of Aquarius, and it is my season. I am an Aquarius baby. My moon sign is Pisces, so that's coming up next actually, and my rising sign is Aries. So I kind of get all these in a row. So now that I'm more aware of those things and I'm paying more attention to them, it's going to be fun to see how I'm relating each season. This season is amazing, so powerful with Aquarius. I'm feeling so energetic. I am building up some really amazing ideas, and the poetry community has already happened. I'll be updating my website very, very soon with the help of a friend, colleague, and it's gonna be so transformed. The meccateapoet.com, you can see it how it is right now, but it's going to be transformed and have my access to my membership and the my coaching plan too. And so that's just so exciting. I really want to live off of poetry. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be so amazing. And just to be a little more clear too, it's going to be about it's not just to write. Obviously it's to write, but also a space for dealing with your mental health, how to really approach your poetry in a way that is helping you with your mental health. And that you could be in any state of mind, but can you capture your true feelings in these heavier moments in a poem? How can you really express what it is that you're going through? If that's what you want, if that's what you want to be able to achieve in your writing and self-expression, to share with people, or just to have something for yourself to look back on and understand yourself better, and just have the right words to describe what it is. This whole thing will be for you. It's gonna be so much benefit. I've personally carried myself out of my negative mental health spaces just through poetry. Poetry is also such a journey too. Like I like when I published my trilogy, when each book became a book, it's because like poetry guided me in sequence from one place to another. Like there's a variety of poems, but there is a loose narrative carrying me from beginning to end of the year. Like first that was in Chaos of Tao, and then reverse cycle repeat. Like I can see what was going on in those years, in those seasons. And like is a really, really cool element that's become of my poetry. So the 3 books, the trilogy, I mean, it came out of the beginning, well, first few years of the pandemic. I don't know, can we say we're in it anymore? Probably not. I'm glad. Oof, I'm glad. But it was a particular time period that I needed to encapsulate. Is that a word? Anyway, put into a time capsule, and that was the poetry books. And even just recently, I've noticed my poetry coming from that kind of place in the heart, and it is moving in sequence to along with my current progress and state of mind and what is going on in my inner and outer worlds. Well, my inner worlds, and it's also influencing how I'm perceiving or sharing my experience with the outer world. Just to be extremely loose and vague, like what does that mean? That's okay. You know what though? I'm still fighting this whole battery thing, so I really hope that this just comes up. I've actually been in a lot of journals recently, just as a total sidetrack. I've been like, I'm almost finished my main one. I was writing in a few different ones for courses, and now I'm in a different one for this visualization challenge with Kathy Heller. It is great for February. Every day she's sharing another visualization challenge, and so this one it was our day 5 for February, and it was about traveling. And so I had seen myself on the top of a lush green mountain, and I can only presume by looking out and what it felt like that it was probably a tea mountain in like Taiwan or China. I haven't actually been in those places. I've seen some pictures, so it's probably, I imagine that's where I would have gone. Oh my gosh, I want to travel to some tea countries. Like Liu Yu, the famous tea poet, he wrote about well, he wrote a lot about traveling, or sorry, not traveling, but he did travel a lot, but he would write about how the tea is best consumed in the place from where it was grown, and especially with water that is local to that area, because that water was influenced the plant itself as it was growing. And so having that to steep the tea is just more fulfilling. I mean, I only know really the water that's around me or anywhere I've been, generally in Canada. And so, yeah, so that's a really interesting element. So I just want to be in those places. I mean, oh, the joy I will feel to be in the tea mountains and these areas. Okay. So then the journal prompt was, how does it feel to experience new adventures? My brain went right to poetry on this one. Normally I've been writing down like paragraphs of my answers, but this is what happened. It's called Discovery. My body enters the void, into new air, new scenes, unimagined nor researched. Instinct guide me along trails unknown, an exotic flower to smell, trees yet unnamed. The freedom of not knowing, unpredictability of the route, spiraling into my heart, the place where joy is thriving. To sit at a bench, expecting nothing, until who shows up when a new life force beams in. The feeling of being on an adventure, being on vacation in a magical new place, and then somebody sits beside you and you have a conversation that is so meaningful. And it could be that kind of person who you never see again in your life. and you don't get their name, nothing. But it was profound. Have you ever experienced that? I have. I think I have. I can't even recall a moment, but like that's a feeling. That's such a feeling. And that's where the end of that came from. But yeah. Anyway, that's what I have to share about a more recent poem that I wrote. I think the most recent poem that I wrote. So it's the idea of that visualization that's going to carry me into the next place. I almost wonder already, what's my next poem actually going to be? Well, is it going to follow up? Is it going to relate to this poem, at least even like a slightest extent? Or is it going to relate to a poem or a few ago? But really, it is interconnected. Where my mind decides to carry me. I don't think I'm planning a poetry book for writing from this year, but it's also possible that I do make a new poetry book. I was doing it, making a poetry book out of 3 years in a row, 2020, 2021, 2022. But now I took a pause. Like I'm good. I had poetry pouring out of me for 3 years. I'm good. And then like the whole of like 2023 was me. Well, I was running the tea house, but I was also in editing mode for the last book because, well, it just was not a priority. But I had to publish before 2024. That was the goal, and I did it. Woo! But anyway, so anything that I've written the past couple of years, and then this year, yeah, who knows? It might become something. On another note, I am excited to be getting back into planning for the Soul Circus. That was so fun last summer. We're looking at different festivals. It's all going to be around the Ottawa greater area, some parts in Quebec. Those are the festival areas that we're looking at. So Soul Circus, if you didn't catch a previous podcast, kind of stumbled into their loving arms last summer, and we had our own space at music festivals, and we had a circus tent and a shop. We just really had this opportunity to connect deeply with people and have our own stage, run jams and perform. I was performing poetry. I was running poetry workshops, doing some tea ceremony, just sharing all this love and in this exchange of energy. Other people doing body work and dance and yoga, like a meditation circle. And the great musicians I got to play with as well. Musicians backing me as I read poetry. Oh, so fun. I had quite a few moments of that in the past year. So that was really, really cool too. Anyway, so now more intentionally, I'm going to be planning to join them probably during the month of August. And well, there's going to be a podcast episode where I am interviewing our main coordinators, Lynn and River. Well, I don't know if it's an interview as much as just sharing info and our plans and the excitement and the vibes. So anyway, so last year with the workshop, the poetry workshops, I also collect any poems that people left with me. I was able to collect it, and it hasn't come into total fruition yet, but it's going to be a magazine that we're going to have and share so that people can just kind of read and be inspired, and it makes them, you would get the opportunity to sit down in a workshop and write poetry with me this summer, and you would actually be able to get it published in a zine magazine that they'll be making. So that's still a project that needs to happen, and well, to finish anyway, but it's probably just going to be for us to have there, but maybe it becomes like a web zine as well. We'll find out. Dream for the web scene. Make a sip, make a sip, make a scene. Now our shrug us off his shoulders, don't approve a single word that we wrote. Bonus points if you know that song. Let me know. Panic at the Disco. It's all the lead I'm going to give you on that. If you don't know it, whatever. Some words, like it just like resonates so strongly with lyrics. Just can't help bursting into song when I think of some like certain words. I'm like, oh, that triggered something. La 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 la. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Poetry membership, coaching, T. Oh, T. Keemun, I love you. Oracle card readings, a little bit of Soul Circus, Aquarius time, happy Aquarius time. We still have about half of its life force until we move into Pisces. Likely I'm going to record something else before I go, before Aquarius is over. All right. Thanks for hanging out with me, and take care. Have a lovely day, and just soak in all the good energy you can. Keep living, keep enjoying, and be you. Okay.